In this video, I'm going to be comparing the new Flextail Helio 600Z against one of my favorite ultralight headlamps, the Nitecore NU25. If you're interested, keep watching. All right, before we get started, I just want to thank Flextail for sending out the Helio 600Z so that I could share it with you. Now, the reason should be obvious why I want to compare this lamp with the Nitecore NU25. It's because they share so much in common in terms of visual similarities and actually quite a bit of their functionality as well. So what I thought I would do is start by going down to the tabletop and giving you all the specs and performance specs for the Helio 600Z. And then I'll bring in the NU25 so we can do a few comparisons. Now, just before we focus in on the headlamp itself, let me share with you what it came with. So this is the box the light arrived in. Inside of the box, manual with warranty information, USB Type-C charging cable. The one other thing that came with this is the battery installed in the light right now. I just want to take this out and share it with you now because this will play into the comparison with the Nitecore NU25. This is a 350 milliamp hour CR123A lithium-ion battery. So again, it is a replaceable battery. Now, I'm going to put the battery back in. It can be done with a coin to kind of screw the cap in. In this case, I'm just using a Swiss Army knife. Line it up. Very good. Okay, there we go. So what are some of the key features for the Helio 600Z? Obviously, extremely lightweight. Not only is the light itself light, but very lightweight, but look, it also has a shock-corded cable, which reduces weight even further. It has 3 spotlight settings. It has 3 floodlight settings. It has a red light. It has a red flash. It has an SOS, and it has a beacon. So quite a few different things. Now, let's go through the specifications for this light. And all the specs I give you now will be in the video description underneath this video as well. Weight, 1.41 ounces. That's 40 grams. Now, I'll give you the specs. This time I'm going to do it in metric, just to change things up. 47 millimeters in length, 29 millimeters wide, 26 millimeters high, and it is rated at an IP67 waterproof rating. Now, rather than go through each of the lumen settings for both the floodlight, the spotlight, and the combined flood and spot, which is another setting you can go through, I'm going to give you the highest rating and the lowest rating, and the rest will all be listed in the video description if you have an interest in that. So, on the highest level, which is a mix of spot and flood, the light will put out 600 lumens and will last for 3 hours. On its lowest level, which is flood low at 5 lumens, the light will last for 50 hours. And as I mentioned, it does have a red light for 10 lumens lasting 20 hours. Now let's take a look at the operation for the Helio 600Z, because this does also play into the comparison with the Nitecore NU25. So there are 2 buttons, silicone covered buttons on the top of the light. On my right, your left, is the floodlight, and on my left, your right, is the spotlight. And if you have to turn the light on, you have to double tap one or the other. It really doesn't matter. Of course, if you double tap the flood, that's where it starts. So let me do that, turn the light on. Now, first thing I want you to take note of is that when the light is turned on, it immediately goes to its highest lumen setting. If you want to switch lumen settings, you quick tap it, it'll go down, and then finally it goes off again. Now, I'm going to turn the light back on. Again, it came on at the highest lumen setting. There is no memory for what the last lumen setting was. If I want to access the red light, I press and hold, and I get the solid red light. Tap it again, I get the flashing red light. Tap it again, and the light turns off. Now, it's the same sequence on the floodlight, or excuse me, the spotlight. Double tap, and I get the highest lumen setting for the spotlight. Quick tap, run myself down, and turns off of again. If you want a combination of the two, either the flood and the spot for maximum illumination, then you double tap one, then double tap the other, and you can make your combination of lights. Again, I wanted to point out how this operates because there are 2 things that are missing from the operating system. First off, You do not have immediate access to the lowest lumen setting in white, and you do not have immediate access to the red light. That is significant. Now, two things I haven't shown you yet about the Helio 600Z is, first off, the fact that it can be tilted. It has numerous detents to turn it down to a little bit more than a 45-degree angle down towards your feet area. So it has quite a bit of detent there. I think I appreciate that as well. On the end of the light is the silicone covered cap for the USB Type-C charging port. And the cable is a double shock cord. It is reflective with a cord lock on the back. And to make this work, you just simply move the cord lock back and forth until you have just the right amount of cable for it to stretch around your head. Very simple system, very effective, very lightweight. Some people don't like how it feels around your head, but to be honest, I don't mind it whatsoever. It works quite well. In fact, it's identical in operation to the Nitecore NU25. And that's why I want to bring in the NU25 to the picture now so we can do some comparisons. So I'm not going to be going through all the features and specs and everything else for the Nitecore NU25. I have a separate review video for this. I will link it at the end of this video and in the video description if you want to go back and do some comparisons. What I want to do is just give you a side-by-side look at them, talk about the two of them, and then I want to compare the operating systems. So weight, you know, virtually identical. I think there's 5 grams in the difference between the two of them. The Helio is a bit more forward heavy, and you can see that it's not quite as flat. If I hold in that direction or maybe in this direction, you can see that it doesn't sit quite as flat against my head as the NU25 does. But I will say the Helio has slightly better lumen settings than the NU25. So there is the comparison. It has the same shock-corded cable system. Actually, they look like they were borrowed one from the other. It has the same ability to change the angle on it. It has a USB Type-C charging port on the end, and it has the 2 buttons on top for the operating system. That's where the similarities end, because from here on in, they are very different, and it is the operating system. Now, without going through all the features of the operating system of the Nitecore NU25, I do want to point out that it has 2 distinct advantages over the Helio 600Z. You can get direct access to the lowest white light lumen setting, and you can get direct access to the red light, different buttons to operate each. That is a distinct advantage for the Nitecore NU25. However, there is one advantage that the Helio has over the Nitecore, and that is it has a removable, replaceable battery, whereas the Nitecore does not. It is a fixed battery. You cannot remove it. If the battery dies on you, then you will not be able to replace it unless you send it back to the factory, and I think at that point it's probably easier just to buy a whole new light. Okay, so that's the comparison between the two lights. I want to close this video up with a few more thoughts. All right, a few closing thoughts for the Flextail Helio 600Z in comparison with the Nitecore NU25. So, you know, there is a lot of similarities, at least in terms of looks between these two lights. The weights of them aren't that far off. You know, there's a lot of things are quite similar, but there is a few distinct differences, and these may be the deciding factors of which one you want to consider. First off, the Flextail has the removable battery, whereas the Nitecore does not. That's no small thing for a lot of people, myself included. I like that I can change this battery out if need be. If you run into problems with the Nitecore, that's it for the light. You won't be able to change the battery out. Having said that, though, the operating systems, and as mentioned as well, the operating system for the Nitecore NU25 has some clear and distinct advantages, at least as far as I'm concerned, in that I can access the red light directly and I can access the lowest lumen setting for the white light as well. To me, that makes the Nitecore NU25 the light of choice for me. It's just, that's what I prefer, be able to access those lowest lumen settings, because if you've ever turned on a light on bright in your tent at night when you didn't intend to, you know how quickly you lose your night vision and you have to wait before you can very much, you know, function in the dark again. Now, there was one other factor I didn't mention yet, and this also is a bit of a consideration. The Helio does come in at about $10 cheaper than than does the Nitecore. So if budget is a consideration for you, then the Helio is a better purchase in that respect. But in all other respects, for me at least, the Nitecore is the better of the two lamps. All right, those are my thoughts in comparing these two lamps together. Now I'd like to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the Flextail Helio 600Z in comparison with the Nitecore NU25? Please put those comments in the comments section below. As I mentioned, I'll be putting all the specifications as well as the links to where you can take a look at the Helio 600Z and the video review I did of the Nitecore NU25. I'll put that all in the video description as well as at the end of this video. But until next time, get out and explore and take that path less traveled, because it will make all the difference. Bye for now.